Be sure you have the worksheet Analyze Sample Paragraphs, Lesson 27 through 28 for this assignment. So looking at this paper, I will read the directions. Read the prompt and then read the 2 sample paragraphs written by students. You will decide which paragraph is the best one. Okay, there's the prompt, and then underneath the prompt are 2 paragraphs divided by the parts of the paragraph, the RA, the C, the E, and the R. Okay, let's look at the prompt. It says, what is one of the themes of Love That Dog? Use evidence and elaboration to support your answer. And if you remember, you answered this question last week. You wrote a paragraph about one of the themes of Love That Dog. If you remember, you were choosing between courage or that practice makes you better. So here are 2 paragraphs, and you're going to decide which one is the better one. Okay, let's look at the first one. So the RA for the first one is, one of the themes of Love That Dog is practice makes you better. Okay, and then for the cite evidence, the student wrote, according to the text, in September, Jack tries to write a poem, but he cannot. Then, in October, he writes his first poem, but copies the style from another poem, Red Wheelbarrow. Finally, by December, Jack has written 2 more poems on his own. Okay, and then for the elaboration, the student wrote, this evidence is important because it shows that he is getting better little by little. Each month, Jack is practicing writing poems more and more. Over 4 months, Jack shows a lot of improvement. And then for the R, the student wrote, so, in summary, one of the themes of the book is clearly that practice makes you better. Okay, let's look at the next student's paragraph. They wrote for their RA, one of the themes of Love That Dog is practice makes you better. Okay, that looks exactly like the RA from the first paragraph. Okay, let's look at the C for this paragraph. For the cite evidence, this student wrote, according to the text, in September, Jack tries to write a poem but can't. In December, Jack writes 2 more poems. Okay, kind of in your mind, compare that C to the C in the first paragraph. Okay, let's look at the E, the elaboration in the second paragraph. This student wrote, this is important because practice makes you better. Okay, maybe compare that elaboration to the elaboration in the first paragraph. And notice how they are different. Okay, let's read the R. In the second paragraph, that student wrote, in conclusion, one of the themes in this book is practice makes you better. Okay, looking down below at the questions. Question number 1 says, which paragraph is better, the first one or the second one? So look back over those 2 paragraphs. It should be kind of clear which paragraph is written better. So write down either the first one or the second one for question number 1. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. Question number 2 says, what is one thing about the evidence that is different between the 2 paragraphs? Okay, so go back up to the C. Look at the C, cite evidence for the first paragraph. According to the text, in September, Jack tries to write a poem, but he cannot. Then in October, he writes his first poem, but copies the style from another poem, Red Wheelbarrow. Finally, by December, Jack has written 2 more poems on his own. Okay, there I noticed the student wrote 3 sentences and actually has 3 pieces of evidence, one from September, one from October, and one from December. And they kind of go in order, and the student is showing how he's getting better in each month, right? First he cannot write a poem, then in October he writes his first poem, but he copies it, and then finally in December he writes 2 more poems. So it's pretty clear that the evidence is building based on his practice. Okay, the second paragraph, let's look at the C, the cite evidence. The student wrote, according to the text, in September, Jack tries to write a poem but can't. And then the evidence jumps straight to December. In December, Jack writes 2 more poems. So there's no real flow. You're not really seeing how the evidence is building and showing that that practice is getting better and better. So, number 2, what is one thing about the evidence that is different between the 2 paragraphs? So, see if you can answer that question. Okay, I'm going to go on to question 3. If you need more time, push pause on the Edpuzzle so you can finish answering number 2. Okay, number 3. What is one thing about the elaboration that is different between the 2 paragraphs? Okay, we're going to go back and look at the E in the first paragraph. That student again wrote, this evidence is important because it shows he is getting better little by little. Okay, and then they continue with their elaboration each month, right? That was September, October, December. Each month, Jack is practicing writing poems more and more. And then the student says, over 4 months, Jack shows a lot of improvement. So the student is explaining this with 3 different sentences. They're really explaining how the evidence shows that Jack is getting better and better. Let's look at the second paragraph. There, that student only wrote 1 sentence for elaboration, and he says, this is important because practice makes you better. So he's not really explaining anything there. He's just stating the focusing statement again. He's just stating the theme, but he's not explaining how the evidence really shows that. Okay, so take a minute to answer question 3. What is one thing about the elaboration that is different between the 2 paragraphs? And if you need more time, which you probably do, please hit pause on Edpuzzle so you can answer number 3 on your paper. Okay, I'm going to continue with 3A. 3A says, what is the purpose of the E, elaboration part of a RACER paragraph? So, what are you supposed to do for E? Explain that in your own words, what the E is used for. Hit pause if you need more time. Okay, moving on to number 4. Which paragraph makes better use of transition words to help the paragraph flow? Okay, one of the 2 paragraphs uses a whole lot of transition words, so it's easy for the reader to follow what the student is saying. The other paragraph doesn't use any transition words. So which one makes better use of transition words? Write down the first or the second for question 4. Okay, if you need more time, hit pause. 4A, circle all of the transition words. So go back to the 2 paragraphs and with your pencil, circle all of the transition words. Transition words come at the beginning of sentences and they help link, they help connect to the sentence that came before. Okay, if you need more time, hit pause because I'm going to move on to question number 5. Question number 5 says, explain why the first paragraph is better. Okay, I hope it's clear to you that the first paragraph is way better than the second paragraph. So try to put it in your own words why. Why does that first paragraph, that RACER, work so much better than the second one? And that is your last question. So after you answer this question, you will be finished with this assignment. Thank you.